Psychopath vs Sociopath. The Untold Story. Episode 1. The Mask They Wear. They walk among us. One wears a suit, the other wears a scowl, but both wear a mask. We begin in a bustling city. Two people, two paths, so different on the surface you'd never link them. But underneath? The similarities are bone-chilling. Meet Daniel. Impeccably dressed, articulate, respected in his corporate circle. People describe him as focused, ambitious, even charming. He always knows the right thing to say, never raises his voice, never loses control, always listening, always watching. Now meet Aaron, rough around the edges, fired from 6 jobs in 2 years, bar fights, public meltdowns, aggressive behavior. People say he's got a temper problem. Explosive. Unstable. He doesn't fake nice, doesn't bother with pleasantries. But there's something in his eyes, something that hints at a deeper fire, maybe even pain. They've never met, not yet. At first glance, they seem like opposites. Daniel, the model citizen. Aaron, the cautionary tale. But as we dig deeper, we find they're not just alike. They may be the same monster in different disguises. Both lie, fluently, easily, without blinking. Both manipulate. Daniel does it with smiles, contracts, and compliments. Aaron does it with threats, guilt, and sudden affection. Both lack empathy. Daniel fakes it with gestures and body language he studied from others. Aaron doesn't even try. And both have left a trail of broken people in their wake. Colleagues gaslighted, partners emotionally drained, friends used and discarded. Enter Dr. Evelyn Cross, a clinical psychiatrist with 20 years of experience studying antisocial personality disorders. She thinks she's seen it all. She believes she can always tell the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath. She's built her career on this very distinction. She's brought in to evaluate 2 anonymous subjects, cases that have baffled both law enforcement and corporate investigators. Her goal? Identify who's who. Who is the cold, calculating psychopath? Who is the impulsive, reactive sociopath? Each man is assigned a number. Subject 1, Subject 2. She interviews them separately. She asks questions, records answers, analyzes posture, tone, expression. But something strange begins to happen. Subject 1, the smooth-talking professional, starts to share stories that don't quite add up. They're too polished, too rehearsed. Subject 2, the hot-headed one, surprises her. He breaks down during one session. He talks about abandonment, abuse, betrayal. Is it manipulation? Or is there something real buried under the rage? Over weeks, the lines begin to blur. One day, Dr. Cross finds a handwritten note slipped under her office door. It reads, "You're asking the wrong questions. One of us is lying, the other already knows you." She brushes it off. Probably a prank. But then her phone rings. It's Subject 1. He's crying. He says he's scared. He says the other subject threatened him. He says he thinks he's being followed. He tells her he's not like the other one. He's a victim. Dr. Cross believes him. She writes a final report labeling Subject 2 as the sociopath, unstable, dangerous, unpredictable. Subject 1, she describes as cooperative, intelligent, possibly misunderstood, a high-functioning professional caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. But in the surveillance footage, reviewed only later, we see something Dr. Cross missed. Subject 1, Daniel, isn't scared. He's calm, smiling. As he leaves the interview room, he whispers to the camera, "She never even asked why I knew her home address." Twist ending. One of them has convinced the psychiatrist he's the victim, and she believes him. But he's already in her life, and she doesn't realize he's the one studying her now. Episode 2, Wired to Destroy. The mind is a battlefield, and in the case of Daniel and Aaron, our 2 subjects from Episode 1, it's not just about behavior anymore. It's about wiring. Behind the smooth talk and violent outbursts, Something deeper is at play, something the eye can't see. We open in a stark, sterile lab. Blue light hums from machines. Electrodes are placed on foreheads. Scans light up. Brain waves flicker. The goal? To uncover what's really going on inside the heads of a psychopath and a sociopath. Dr. Evelyn Cross, still recovering from her unsettling experience with Subject 1 and 2, has passed the case to a neuroscientist, Dr. Julian Ward, a man who doesn't believe in deception, only data. He wants proof. So he hooks up both subjects to an fMRI scanner designed to track emotional response, decision-making, and empathy triggers. What they find is disturbing. Daniel's brain, Subject 1, cold, controlled. When shown images of violence, death, or suffering, no emotional reaction, not even a flicker. He doesn't feel disgust or pain or guilt. But here's the twist. When shown money, power, or smiling faces, his pleasure centers light up. Daniel doesn't avoid emotion. He redirects it toward control, gain, and admiration. He mimics emotions he doesn't feel. He's not reacting to people. He's calculating them. Aaron's brain, Subject 2. Chaotic, disordered. The emotional centers fire too much, especially when exposed to stress, threats, or images of betrayal. But empathy? It's low, not gone, just buried beneath trauma and rage. Aaron's brain is a storm. He's not faking anything. His violence is real, impulsive, and sometimes even self-destructive. He feels, but not the way most people do. Dr. Ward presents the findings to a closed research team. Daniel's brain, he says, is built for control. Aaron's, for chaos. One is ice, the other is fire. Then he adds something chilling. If I had to guess which one is more dangerous, it's not the one who lashes out. It's the one who watches, smiles, and learns. But something is off. When Dr. Ward reviews the raw data later that night, he notices a discrepancy. A section of Subject 1's scan is corrupted. He checks the backup. It's missing. The machine's internal camera, wiped. Then he finds a USB left on his desk. No label. He plugs it in. It contains a voice recording, Daniel's voice. I learned how to cheat polygraphs in college. fMRIs weren't that much harder. You people always assume the mask is on the outside. Dr. Ward freezes. He looks around. The lab is empty, but the feeling that he's being watched isn't. Twist ending. The next morning, Dr. Ward doesn't show up for the follow-up session. Security checks the lab. His notes are gone. His badge is missing. But there's one thing left on his desk. A single sticky note. In perfect handwriting. Don't worry. I'm better now. I've learned to feel. Signed, D Episode 2 ends not with a scream, but with a chilling silence. Because now, one of them isn't just dangerous. He's evolving. Episode 3. Climbing the ladder, leaving bodies. Two men. Two paths. One is wearing a tailored suit and delivering PowerPoint presentations in a boardroom. The other is flipping a chair across a dingy office, getting escorted out by security. And yet, both are predators. We begin with Daniel, the cold, composed subject whose neurological scan showed zero empathy but maximum control. He's now Daniel Myers, Vice President of Strategy at a Fortune 500 company. He shows up early, works late, never loses his temper. His office is decorated with motivational quotes. His handshake is perfect. His smile, disarming. People trust him. They admire him. But there's something odd about his rise. 3 of his former colleagues have mysteriously left the company, one after a nervous breakdown, one after an HR scandal. One just vanished. The details don't make it to LinkedIn. Meanwhile, Aaron, the impulsive, chaotic subject, is crashing out of yet another job, fired for threatening a manager, unemployable, angry. He lives in short bursts, rage, regret, repeat. He tells people he's misunderstood, a product of a broken system. And maybe that's true. But then something changes. He gets a job, low-level temp position, in the same building where Daniel works. Coincidence? Or something else? The company doesn't know they're about to house two ticking time bombs under one roof. As the camera pans between Daniel's polished corporate charm and Aaron's erratic behavior in the mailroom, a storm begins to build. Daniel is charming investors, seducing a senior executive, and carefully leaking misinformation about a colleague who threatens his position. Aaron, meanwhile, notices Daniel, watches him, and one day, as he's delivering mail to the executive floor, he locks eyes with him. It lasts only a second. But in that moment, Daniel knows. Aaron is no longer just a patient. He's a wild card. That week, a whistleblower in the company files a complaint about insider trading. An internal investigation begins. Tension rises. Daniel's charm intensifies. He offers to assist the investigators, to help clean up the culture. Meanwhile, Aaron is caught shouting in the cafeteria. He's accused of theft, suspended. But here's the catch. The evidence? A security badge log and a grainy camera feed. Both mysteriously edited. The footage shows someone entering a restricted office, but the face is blurred. HR is baffled. The system has never glitched before. Daniel watches the chaos unfold from his office window, sipping black coffee, smiling. Twist ending. One night, the head of HR receives an anonymous envelope. Inside, a USB drive. She plays it. It's audio from a hidden recorder. Two voices. One is Aaron's, panicked. The other, Daniel, calm, icy, deadly. You don't belong here, you never did, but you are useful. As a distraction. The clip ends. The timestamp? From the day the evidence was planted. The episode closes with the HR director staring out over the city skyline, suddenly unsure of who she's working with, or for. Because Daniel's face is on the company website. Aaron's name is on a police report, but only one of them is still inside the building, and only one is pulling all the strings. Episode 4. The Victim Trap. For every manipulator, there are victims. But in the world of psychopaths and sociopaths, not all victims are innocent, and not all predators are what they seem. We begin this episode with a quiet hallway, a psychologist's office, tissue boxes, a softly ticking clock. Sitting in the chair is Jessica, mid-30s, pale, trembling. "He ruined my life," she whispers. "He didn't hit me, not once. But I was never safe." She tells a story of love turned to control, subtle gaslighting, disappearing friends, a slow erosion of her confidence. "He made me believe I was the problem. Then he left and took everything." She's talking about Daniel. Cut to another room. Another voice, this one Mark, mid-40s, rough around the edges, eyes darting around. "She tricked me," he says. "Said she needed help, then stole from me, lied to the cops, said I was unstable." He's talking about Aaron, but not as a co-worker, as a lover. As the stories pile up, a pattern emerges. Charisma, followed by manipulation. Trust, followed by betrayal. Victims, left questioning their own sanity. But then, a journalist cross-references Jessica's story, and something doesn't add up. The timeline, the location, the identity. Jessica had claimed Daniel lived with her for 6 months. But Daniel was out of the country during that time, working for a client in London, documented, verified. So the team investigates further. Mark's story? The same. He described Aaron living with him for weeks, but Aaron had been in a psychiatric ward then, under 24-hour surveillance. Impossible stories, perfectly delivered lies. But why would someone pretend to be a victim? Unless they weren't pretending. Suddenly, the investigation takes a darker turn. The files on Jessica and Mark are re-examined. Jessica was treated for borderline personality disorder. Mark has 2 prior restraining orders. Both had therapy with the same psychologist. The same psychologist from episode 1, the one who believed Daniel was the victim. And then comes the twist. A hidden camera in the psychologist's office, part of a training program, catches a conversation between Jessica and Mark. They're not strangers. They're partners. They've been sharing stories, cross-pollinating details, rehearsing. Their goal? To trap the psychologist, to make her doubt herself, to destroy her credibility before she could expose the truth. But here's where it spirals even deeper. On the desk in the psychologist's office, hidden beneath paperwork, is a small black envelope. Inside, a flash drive, labeled, "Proof you're being watched." The footage, Daniel, and Aaron, in the same room, together, talking, laughing, planning. The psychologist presses pause. Her hands are shaking. "If they're working together," she murmurs, "then none of this is what it seems." And the final frame of the video? Daniel turning to the camera, smiling directly at it. You believe them because they cry. But did you ever stop to ask why they need to? Closing line: victims, liars, predators. In this game, they trade masks like poker chips. And the only certainty? Someone's already manipulating the story. Maybe it's you. Episode 5. The One Watching You. It started as a study. Two dark minds, one cold, one chaotic, both dangerous. You followed their stories, their victims, their lies, their trail of destruction. But now, everything you think you know is about to collapse. We open in silence. A camera blinks to life, a grainy video feed. The image is of an empty therapy chair, and then a voice. Not Daniel, not Aaron. A third voice, calm, deliberate, familiar. You've been listening, watching, judging, trying to tell who's who. But what if that was never the real question? Cut to scenes from all previous episodes, clips of Daniel smiling, Aaron yelling, victims crying, psychologists doubting. You, the viewer, have formed opinions, assumptions, certainties. Daniel is the psychopath, Aaron the sociopath. But the narrator interrupts. You wanted to believe the calm one was more dangerous. Or maybe the one who lost control. You were looking for a villain. But what if the villain is the one who wrote the story? We flash back to episode 3, the neurologist's missing file. It's recovered. On the final page, scribbled in pen, patient shows hybrid traits. Possible overlap. Masking behavior. Daniel and Aaron may not be two different people. They may be one, with split identities, or a persona crafted to manipulate observers. Or worse, they may both be acting under the influence of a third party, someone pulling the strings. A new name enters the files. One never mentioned before, Dr. Elias Marron, an expert in psychopathy research, retired, unreachable, thought dead. But someone has been signing hospital logs under his name, someone who conducted field experiments on unsuspecting therapists, someone who vanished after a controversial ethics scandal. And then, you hear it, the narrator again. You assumed I was the observer, the voice of reason, but I was the variable. I was the one introduced into their lives to see what would happen. The entire documentary, this entire story, has been narrated by Dr. Elias Marron, and he's been telling his version of the truth. As tension builds, we cut to surveillance video from a park. There's Daniel, there's Aaron, sitting on opposite benches. But as the camera zooms in, something's wrong. The posture, the expressions, the timing. It's the same actor, two characters played for an audience. For a study, you. Final scene, a dark room, a single light bulb overhead. You hear papers shuffling. A file drops open. On the first page, case study, viewer response to psychopathic and sociopathic archetypes. Under it, your IP address, your viewing habits, your reactions logged. You've been part of the experiment all along. You thought this was a documentary. You thought you were safe behind the screen. But what if the most dangerous person is the one who now knows how you think? This wasn't a story. It was a confession. And I never said it was mine.